Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us all the way from Ontario, Canada, Bradley Hale. How's it going today?
It's going great, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to have you on. And it was one of those things. Actually, it's quite funny. So yesterday, I had sent you a random Instagram message saying, "Hey, how you doing?" Because when I went to go try and send you the Zoom link, it had
Yeah.
erased all of our prior messages.
Oh,
And so
that's
like
weird.
like just like all of our prior messages had been gone. And I'm like, hey, am I not talking to the right Bradley Hale? Did we because sometimes I'll go from like Instagram to email and it depends on if I'm working with a PR agent or not.
Yeah, and they'll
So it
get
kind of
mixed up.
yeah, it gets a little confusing. So I was like, well, maybe it was a PR agent that I was working with. I don't remember at this point, and so I
Yeah,
went and was
it
like,
happens.
okay,
It's
there's
kind of
no
weird. Sometimes I do that in mine too, where it's
Mhm.
like I'll come back in and I put it to vanish mode or something
Yeah,
like that, and everything disappears, and I'm like, oh no, like where,
right,
what's going on?
right. And so it was just like, hey, how you doing? And just hoping you'd respond back, be like, hey, and kind of be like, okay, I'm not crazy, so
Yeah,
but
perfect.
excited to have you here. How's everything going on up in Ontario?
It's going great. I've been keeping busy, been playing lots of shows and writing a lot lately, especially as kind of festival season winds down
Yep.
and I get a little bit less crazy busy as I was through the summer. Getting back into writing mode and been in the studio a little bit and getting some new stuff for everybody to hear, hopefully soon.
For sure. How's that kind of transition been? Are you finding it harder or easier right now to kind of transition back into that writing mode?
Honestly, it's been great so far. Like I've just had kind of a honestly like pretty crazy, like just been gigging a whole bunch throughout the summer, and so it's
Hmm.
nice to be able to have the time to go back to writing because it's something that I love doing. And I didn't really get to do it that much this summer between managing the business side of doing this whole thing
Yeah,
and getting whatever merch
yeah,
and getting talking to people and getting gigs and stuff like that. So now during the week I've got more time to sit down and try to get some pen to paper.
for sure. Are you a full-time musician at this point, or are you still kind of balancing?
Yeah, I'm a full-time musician. I I do still work every little once in a while. We have a farm about an hour and a half north of me,
Hmm.
a family farm, and I still work there during the summer and stuff just to kind of help out and stuff. And so that keeps me a little bit busy as well during the
Yeah,
summer. But uh but yeah, it's good. I have a lot of fun and I've been doing it for a long time, doing it since I was little, so
sweet.
good to kind of keep it in the family.
Oh yeah, for sure. And how long have you been pursuing music, at least on a professional level, we'll call it?
Yeah, on a professional level, it's been probably about 2 years now.
Hmm.
I did it kind of, I started doing it as soon as I graduated from university. I had known that I wanted to do it before then, but my parents kind of told me to finish school. And so I spent a couple years in COVID time actually, just like woodshedding and just putting a lot of hours in on the guitar and stuff like that. And when I probably should have been doing school, but I was playing and singing a lot in my bedroom and stuff and getting that all ready. And then by the time COVID let up at the same up here anyway,
Hmm.
by the time it let up and school was over, I started playing out in places and getting bar gigs and stuff like that. And it's kind of just got the ball rolling and
Yes.
been gigs ever since. So it's been great.
Nice. So COVID was kind of the jumping off point, or were you actively trying to pursue it before
Yeah,
COVID?
like so I have always been like I've always played the guitar and sang. My
Mhm.
parents are both musicians and so like I grew up in a very musical household. We have a
Nice.
grand piano in our living room and we have probably, if I could count right now looking around, I probably could count 15 guitars hanging on the walls
Nice.
and stuff like that. So it's always like just been a part of who I am.
Mhm.
And when I was younger, I didn't really know. I just liked doing it as a hobby and I love playing and singing, but I never really thought too much about doing it that way just because I guess my parents were kind of doing it and
Yeah.
wanted to do something a little different maybe. But as high school kind of came to an end and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I went to university and then after my first year, I was like, wow, like I really don't want to do this, whatever the university
Yeah.
thing. And I found myself spending like majority of my time in my dorm room or in at school playing guitar and like falling back to that kind of spot and I
Mhm.
realized the love that I have for music and songwriting and playing instruments and stuff like that. And so I told my parents probably around second year that I wanted to drop out and do it. And I ended up staying through the
Yeah.
4 years or whatever because that kind of coincided with the fact that I wasn't able to play anywhere during COVID and
Yeah.
other things like that. But no, and then I just kind of got out there and started playing as soon as I could. Played with my parents' band, played on my own gigs, played some, and then started to get bigger shows and get it going. And yeah, it's been pretty fun.
Nice. So I guess I have to ask, would you study in school?
I studied biomedical science, so
Okay.
something completely different.
Was that something that like you were really into in high school, or was it just
Not
kind
not really, honestly. I That's a good question though. I was I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I
of
was okay at math and science. And so I was just kind of like, well, I guess I'll try this out and see what happens. But yeah, it was I mean, I don't regret going to university. I met so many
Mhm.
friends, people that I still hang out with, but yeah, definitely not a biomed guy.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to say, I was like, well, if for whatever reason music doesn't work out, you
Yeah, I
maybe
got
have
that to fall back on.
yeah. But if you're not into it, it's like, meh, okay. So
Yeah, it's kind of hard slugging.
right, right, right. Oh, so now here you are, two years removed from school, right?
Yeah.
Are you where you thought you'd be? Are you further along than you thought you'd be? Like
You
coming,
know what? That's a good question. I think I'm probably further along than I thought I'd be at this point. I really didn't know what to
Mhm.
do or how
Yeah,
to do it, or I just kind of jumped in and figured that I'd figure it out as I'm going.
yeah,
And you know, it's been great having my dad who's been through like lots of this same kind of stuff when he was my age to kind of help guide me through
mm,
some decisions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy, honestly. Like if you told me some of the things that I've been doing this past year, especially like I just played Boots and Hearts
mm,
music festival up in Canada, which is a huge deal for everybody, especially like in my area. Like I've been to Boots 5 times and seen Morgan Wallen and guys like
yeah,
that like play there and it's pretty insane to say that I was able to play in that emerging artist showcase there. So yeah, I guess I'd say that I'm further along than I thought I would be, I guess after a year and a half or 2 years.
yeah,
You know, I've been in the right place at the right time and
yeah,
have yeah, it's been going pretty well. It's
for
awesome.
sure, for sure. I mean, from the sounds of it, you stayed pretty busy this summer as far as like shows and whatnot, and
Yeah, have been able to keep it up to whatever a couple shows a weekend at least,
mhm,
times 3 or 4, and yeah, it's been great.
nice. Because I feel like that's probably always the really hard part at the beginning is kind of getting those shows booked, unless you happen to stumble into like an open mic or something like
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah, no, it's that's a good point. I've yeah, definitely like been lucky in that the shows that I have booked have led to other shows
mhm,
and have led to more like through word of mouth, through the sound guys or through other stuff like that. Just meeting people and them believing in what I'm doing has been really awesome. Like just for them to kind of extend the olive branch and give me a
mhm,
chance. And then um, I've, I guess I've done well enough to earn a second
Right.
chance. But
Fair. Fair. Oh, and so then it hasn't been all live shows and whatnot. You've had, or you put out two songs this year, or was it just the Feels
yeah,
Like Home?
yeah, I put out two songs this year. I put out one March 1st and one April 5th or something like that, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I saw that Feels Like Home came out this year. I didn't happen to look to see when Will You Wait came
Yeah,
out.
it
I was
was
just
this year as well. Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
how's that whole process kind of been? Are you obviously releasing music is a whole different experience as far in comparison to playing shows. But how's that whole thing? Are you going down to like Nashville to record, or are you recording up in Toronto, or
Yeah, it's been a fun process, kind of getting to figure out what I want songs to sound like and making decisions about different things in the production aspect and stuff like that. It's been a cool process trying to learn the language and get it figured out, and so that I can put out something that I believe in. And I've been doing all of it up here right now,
okay?
and been writing up here and
Okay.
recording up here at some studios that are actually pretty close to where I live.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
It's been cool to see the process and kind of dive in and see what's going on. And I've been in the studio lately. Hopefully we can get another single out here in the next couple weeks or a month.
Nice. And is that kind of how you see things going for at least the next little bit, is just kind of doing singles?
Yeah, I think so. I think like I'll probably do this single, and then I'm thinking about next year. Maybe if I write a bunch in the fall and stuff and get back in the studio and get that figured, hopefully an EP to come.
Nice.
I'd love to get an album
Yeah.
released eventually, but yeah, just getting into the studio and enough time with songs written and getting them recorded. Um, Hopefully we can get a project out in the new year.
Yeah, for sure. And with as much as you play shows, I like the prospect of a fuller project, whether it's an EP or a full length,
Yeah,
but it just kind of depends on how you want to go about like releasing it, because I've always been a firm believer of the idea of if you've got a full album ready to go, releasing hard copies up front and then releasing them single by single out on Spotify. So
yeah,
that way, when you're out at shows, you have something physical to be like, "Hey, I got my CD. You can't hear it anywhere else,"
yeah.
you know.
That's a
And
cool idea.
so, and it helped, like the fact that you're playing shows. Would you say 3 4 times a week, or
Yeah, like in the summer, especially like usually like I'd say an average between two and four.
and are you traveling all across Canada, or are you kind of staying in Ontario, or
A lot in just in Ontario, really like it, and it kind of differs between I'll do band gigs, I'll do solo gigs, I'll
mm,
do trio or kind of
yeah.
stuff like that, and yeah, just kind of playing wherever.
Nice, nice, nice. And so this song that you're currently working on that hopefully you'll have out, you said next few weeks, months, like whatever the timeline is.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this song?
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this song. Actually, it's called Oklahoma Sunset.
Mhm.
And and yeah, we wrote it, I think we wrote it the end of last year. Whatever, it's one of those songs that kind of we had the idea for and had the shape of the song and then had to kind of work it a little bit, and it took a while to get it just right. But then we hopped in the studio kind of at the end of I mean, I guess probably start of August,
Okay.
and started to get things rolling on that, and have been recording and stuff like that every kind of chance that we got, to get it done. And yeah, it's a song about um coming home, and whether you've been away for school or work or
Hmm.
throughout life and coming home, and saying, in this particular case in the song, it's a guy who things haven't really worked out for him. He's coming home to kind of pick up the pieces, and as he watches the sunset go down, he kind of realizes like he can admire the beauty in that as his
Hmm.
life is kind of falling apart. Um, but it's yeah, we're pretty excited about it. I think it's gonna be a cool song.
Nice. Well, how'd you settle on that title, Oklahoma Sunset? What have you, were you like in Oklahoma when you wrote it
You know
or?
what? That's fun. That's funny. And I usually tell this is like I've maybe driven through Oklahoma, but
Okay.
I've never really been to Oklahoma. I've never actually been there. But I was sitting there playing one day, and the first line of the song is I was back in Oklahoma looking for a job, and I was just playing, and that just kind of came out, and uh, and I sang that, and I was like, well, that sounds kind of cool. You can maybe make a song out of that.
Yeah.
So then we kind of thought of the idea and worked it from there. But yeah, no, I've heard they're beautiful there,
Yep.
but I've never actually been there to witness one. I'll have to
Sounds
ask.
like you're gonna have to go to Oklahoma and shoot a music video,
I think so. It's a good
right?
excuse to go there anyway.
Right. If you're gonna go to Tulsa or OKC. Like those are
Yeah.
prob I'm sure there's a lot of people like, no, there's better places to go, but in my opinion, it's Tulsa or OKC. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
no,
we use
that's
the word, sorry, we yeah, well, we use the word or the city name Tulsa in the
yeah,
song also. It might as well be Tulsa, I guess.
right. Nice. That's really cool. And just the way it kind of naturally came together, it's like, okay,
Yeah, it's
nothing
meant.
else matters. So,
Yeah.
um, so kind of looking at yourself now, who are you listening to musically that you're finding like really inspiring? Like who are you, do you have like some guys or some
Yeah.
musicians that are like really speaking to you right now?
Yeah, I've like through growing up and through high school and stuff like that, I was always a huge Eric Church fan.
Hmm.
Like he's kind of been the guy
Yeah.
for me, like to be like, wow, this is how you write songs and this is how you tell these stories, like that made me fall in love with country music. Um, so he's always like the guy that I think to when I think of guys who I want to listen to and I want to emulate. Um, I was a big fan of, I'm obviously a big fan of like Morgan Wallen and stuff that he's doing, especially like his earlier stuff. I really like his earlier records and stuff like that, like the If I Know Me record and the
Yeah.
Dangerous Most the Dangerous One and stuff like that. Um, I really love. And Zach Bryan recently
Hmm.
has been great. And a couple of younger guys too who I've been listening to recently. Connor Smith,
Hmm.
Dylan Marlowe. I think
Yeah.
that what they're doing is cool, and it's cool to see like guys who are closer to my age, um, doing like writing great songs like that, and going out there and doing it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's yeah, I'm not familiar with you said Connor Smith or Cameron Smith?
Yeah, Connor Smith. Yeah.
Connor, okay. I'm not familiar with him. I'll have to look him up, but
Yeah,
yeah.
he's great. He's got like kind of a like I would say like it's not traditional. It's like kind of a Appalachia country
Mm,
kind of thing a little bit,
nice.
but it sounds new and modern at the same time.
Nice.
It's like he takes kind of like pays homage to a little bit of Childers with the fiddle and the
Yeah.
mandolin and stuff like that, and then brings it into like kind of modern country. But it's
Yeah,
cool.
for sure. It's so funny to hear you list off a lot of these more modern artists because when I was listening to Feels Like Home, and maybe it was just kind of the way I was connecting to it,
Yeah.
but the way the guitar, was it you playing guitar or did you have somebody else playing guitar on that track?
I played the acoustic, but
Okay.
actually my dad played the slide guitar on that one.
Okay. Because
Uh,
when I was listening to it, it felt like a Tim McGraw song. Like
yeah.
just kind of the way you were singing just felt very much like a Tim McGraw song, but the guitar playing felt very Jimmy Buffett-ish.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of like the pacing of it, or it was just something,
Yeah.
especially more towards the
Okay.
beginning. I was sitting there listening to it. I was like, this feels like a Jimmy Buffett song right now. And not saying that's a bad thing or anything,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it just felt very reminiscent of a Jimmy Buffett
Oh,
style
that's
of
cool.
yeah. So
I never thought of it that way. Yeah, like another, well, I mean, another guy that recently I've been listening to a lot of is Riley Green. And
hmm.
he has like a lot of like kind of traditional aspects about his music. And like that's what I love in country too is like I think like storytelling, like telling real stories and using like real instruments and like
Yeah.
using the same instrumentation from the
Yep.
2000s or the 90s,
Yep.
but then bringing it together in a kind of to make it sound new and exciting, but using the same like pedal steel and
Yeah.
using slide guitar and like a Telecaster coming out of a Fender amp, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that, the real stuff like that is what kind of connects with me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's an important aspect because, like, I mean, it transitions better into live performances
Yeah.
is having that stuff that can be recreated live or in a practical manner. Because, like, there's nothing worse than going to a show and it's like 90% of this is a backing track. Like, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love that the fact that we can play everything that's on there like without backing tracks
Mm,
and we just kind of let her hang out on
yeah,
stage and have fun with it and
nice.
and just do our thing.
That's really cool. So, outside of music, what do you like to get into?
Since I'm from Canada, I'm sure this is no surprise, but I played a lot of hockey growing up.
Fair, fair, fair.
You know, so I try to do that in the winter, kind of as much as I can. It's kind of hard as I've been getting busier.
Yeah,
But yeah, I love playing sports. Like growing up, like golf, hockey. I played a little bit of baseball and stuff like that. So keep busy with doing that. But then, just you know what you have to when you live in Canada, again, you have to take advantage of the summer months.
yeah,
So yeah, going out to we got lots of lakes around here and stuff like that, and so going whatever wakeboarding and hanging out, going fishing and stuff like that is what I try to do on the weekends and stuff when I don't have gigs. But
nice. That's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, no, there's and I mean honestly, in my free time, I play a lot of music too.
Fair.
It's kind of like it's what I love to do, so I end up finding myself with a guitar in my hand most more times than not.
Now, when you're doing it more as just kind of a free time stress reliever, screwing off, whatever you want to call it, do you find you're doing more cover songs, or do you find that you're just kind of like freestyling, or do you think that you're a little bit more always proactive and just kind of always writing, whether
Yeah, I think it's like if it's free time and I'm just hanging around, I like to like learn guitar parts
Mhm.
and stuff like that from songs. I love to like listen to that or listen to music. Say if I'm learning a song and I'm listening to it, I'm like, wow, like that's really cool. Like I'd love to kind of learn that. Um, Learning stuff like that by trying to learn it by ear and trying to do other things like that has proved to be beneficial for like everything I'm doing, especially in live shows when you're playing something that you might not know that well and you need to learn something by ear. It's helpful to have that skill.
Nice, nice,
So
nice.
yeah, I probably will just noodle around on the guitar, and then if something comes to me, which more often than not, it's like it comes when you're not thinking about it.
Hmm.
You find some cool thing you're playing the guitar, and I'll pull out a voice memo and record it and save it in my back pocket for later.
Nice. That's always cool. Who's your hockey team?
The Leafs, Toronto
Okay.
Maple Leafs, yeah.
I feel like that was probably the obvious answer right there.
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had a whole lot of success
Yeah.
lately. I mean, we got a great team, but we haven't won a cup since like the 67s.
Yeah, fair. It's so for hockey is very interesting to me because I'm originally from Chicago. That's where I grew up.
Oh, cool.
Lived there for a whole lot of years. We'll just say a whole lot of years. Um, and I had a buddy that was a big Blackhawks fan, and anytime I went over, we were watching games, and he started like introducing me to hockey and like getting me into it a bit. And so up until when was the strike? 2003, 2004, whenever the
Yeah, there
any
was an original one there. There was,
yeah,
yeah, I think it was 2004 because
yeah.
that was when, yeah.
There was because I think it wiped out the entire season or most of the
Yeah, I think
season.
so.
Yeah.
Because
Good.
that was the year I think that Ovechkin was drafted and then
Yeah.
he didn't play or whatever, and then he came in at the same year as Crosby.
yeah. And so I was really into it before then, and then I just obviously there was no hockey to watch, and I just kind of fell out of it after that, and just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that that happened. I think that there was some sort of stat that was like, I think there was a lockout in the 90s too.
Hmm.
There was some sort of stat, and it was like people who watched, like the levels or the numbers of people who watched hockey and basketball were like the same. And then uh and then the lockout happened, and then whatever, they dropped like crazy, and then the
Yeah.
same probably happened in '04.
Yep. And then the Blackhawks got super hot in 2006, 7, whatever year it
Yeah,
was.
and then like 2010 or whatever,
Yeah.
around then, 2015.
Yeah. And everybody's like, "Oh, Blackhawks, it's cool to be a Blackhawks fan." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"You guys weren't here when it
when
was
we
a
were yeah,
yeah." So,
driving through the sludge, hitting
and
the
you had to
glass.
actually go to United Center to watch a home game because they had it blacked out locally.
Oh,
And yeah, so
yeah,
it was a grind.
yeah, that
So,
is a grind.
but no, that's awesome. So kind of looking forward for the rest of the year, it's just kind of focusing on writing music. Is that kind of the thought, or do you
Yeah.
have more shows coming?
Yeah, you know what? It kind of slows down here. I'm planning on a trip to Nashville,
Nice,
soon, and then for the end of October or something like that, and so hopefully, whatever, go down and write a little bit, and but then yeah, other than that, just writing up here and getting in the studio and trying to get some stuff together. I have shows here and there, but it's more like one a week or
yeah,
something like that instead of, so it's way more manageable, and
for sure.
then try to write and see what we can get for next year, to hopefully we start to get back in the studio then again once we're done this one kind of right away, and keep working, and maybe we have a project lined up for next spring or something
Nice,
like that. That'd be cool.
taking advantage of the downtime. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I'm guessing you'll probably work on the farm a little bit as well.
Yeah, I'll work there a little bit. There's not as much work to do in the winter, because we don't have any livestock anymore.
Okay.
But because we just can't drive up and back every day.
Yeah.
Uh, like so we just kind of, it's turned into more of a cash crop
Okay.
operation at this point, just to kind of keep it in the family and
Yeah.
keep on it. And we built a shop up there with a big loft and stuff that we can stay at, and so that's honestly what I've been working on, like, as well too, is we built that with um a contractor that's our friend,
Hmm.
and so we put that together, and that was most of my summer during the week last year, was spent up at the farm, and then on the weekends we're gigging. So
Nice.
yeah, it was good.
Cool. 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 Well, I don't want to keep you here too much longer. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
for
thanks for
any,
having.
yeah, absolutely. If for anybody that wants to check out your music, any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, it's Spotify or Apple Music. You can find me at Bradley Hale, Hale. And if you want to be updated on what I'm doing, Instagram is the best spot for sure.
Nice.
It's just Bradley Hale _
Awesome. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks
Uh,
for
yeah, I really appreciate you. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.